Hello, my name is Shakira McGrady, and I'm here to talk to you a bit about the people plant relationship, and more specifically, the people plant relationship in regards to millennials and the uptick and popularity in the desire to have more plants in the home in regards or in the from the perspective of a millennial. Although I am not a millennial, you can see clearly I have a fascination of my own with plants. It's always been a desire of mine to fill my home with as many plants as possible. And as you can see, I have a lot. This is just one cluster of plants, but I really like plants. However, just to go a little bit more into detail in regards to plants and people and the relationship between the earth and people in general, more specifically millennials and Generation Xers, the fascination or the new found popularity and uptick in the consumption or consumerism within the gardening community is primarily due to the fact, in my opinion, that more and more younger generation, it's actually a combination of things. One of which is just it's our innate desire to be one with the earth and connected to plants and the earth in general. However, more specifically in regards to millennials, I also believe that there's a social media component that plays a part in their reasoning for spending more money on plants. It's rewarding to get likes and feedback from people from a social media perspective when you are a millennial and you are heavily involved or consumed with your social media representation. In addition, more and more millennials and Generation Xers are healthier, making healthier, more health conscious decisions in regards to what they eat, what they consume, what they put in their bodies, and in addition to that, the experiences that they have. They rather spend their money. They're also very, very aware and conscientious of how they're spending their money. And so they would rather spend their money on experiences more so than, say, eating out. So a lot of the gardening phenomenon within millennials are spent on plants not only for just a growth perspective, but also in regards to gardening or having a small in-home garden, indoor garden, so that they can consume what they eat and know and grow what they eat. And it also is, cost efficient. They save money and are able to sort of put their money in different pots or spend their money on other things outside of eating out all of the time. What else? 90% of our time as adults are spent indoors and away from nature. So it fosters a disconnect with the earth. And like I said earlier, it's our innate desire to be one and connected with the earth. And this allows you to, a gardening hobby allows you to be more at one with the earth and have your hands in soil and see the growth in your plants. And being that 90% of our time is spent indoors or in transit going to or from work, this also allows for you to bring the outdoors inside, and it also has a psychological component to it as well. It fosters plants in general fosters a feeling of well-being. So it helps relieve stress. It nature as a whole helps to relieve stress, and it also helps to relieve anxiety. And one part of being a millennial and a Generation Xer is that they have been, it's been studied, and they are more prone to stress-induced anxiety in relation to work and just the pressures of life, more so than any older generation. And having a hobby that is one with the earth helps to eliminate that or to ease that. They're also very heavily involved in spending their money in fitness and also camping, surprisingly. So the camping industry is being revived by millennials as a whole. And again, that just shows the innate desire to be one with the earth. So I'm not surprised at all that the correlation between gardening and plants and having indoor gardens and camping, it all is aligned, in my opinion. Another thing, it's been known that having plants, studies have been conducted, and with children as well as adults, that having plants or visibility to plants or green space within a work environment or an educational environment, it helps to improve test scores, it helps to eliminate stress, and it also helps to have an overall general healthier, happier outlook on life. So, and it also helps with depression. So you can experience some degree of stress within a work environment and also an educational or school environment. So, and it's just studies have shown that having plants in those environments in general helps to relieve some of those stressors. What else? Gardening supplies as a whole, millennials spend over $12 billion per year in gardening supplies. That's up 7% from other generations. I have some information within my presentation that shows the correlation in the studies, the findings between students and having plants in the school environments and how it impacts test scores, and also just some graphs that show how gender also plays a part in it's a component in life, work-life balance and the correlation between plants in the work environment. Also, there's friendly bacteria that has been known to impact the serotonin levels in our bloodstream. When you work with soil and plants, there's been studies that found that there's healthy bacteria, friendly bacteria, that activates the serotonin in the brain when getting your hands dirty and just being around plants as a whole. It's very homeopathic, and going back to the fitness perspective for plants and millennials, one aspect of fitness that millennials do spend their money on are those classes, specialty classes in relation